What respected profession do you not really respect? I do not respect any profession unless it is practiced by a respectable person. I agree with this, but also, I admit I have reservations about pharmaceutical salespersons in the US case. Where is that respected? There are good reps and bad reps like any other profession in my opinion. I am a provider and can say that some reps are skeevy, most are fairly neutral, and there are some that are actually a huge asset to my patients. I have worked with reps who have advocated for getting free medication to my patients who otherwise would not be covered. I don't respect respectable chiropractors and other charlatans.
Yeah.
Chiropractic is a pseudoscience, and the guy who invented it claimed it was taught to him by the ghost of a dead doctor and believed that people needed adjustments so that God's love could reach the blocked parts of your body better. If you believe in chiropractic, just look up the history on Wikipedia. It's a wild rabbit hole. I trust absolutely zero chiropractors. I have a CDL and have to get a medical exam every year. My work pays for it, but they send me to a chiropractor because she's close. It's wild to me that the state lets a chiropractor decide whether or not I'm capable of driving a commercial vehicle. Dude, same. I went to a chiropractor office for my physical when I was in the Conservation Corps. They were selling magnets to cure all ills and other literal snake oils out front. It was very off-putting. Even politicians.
Wink.
I don't disrespect them, but I genuinely don't understand the way we seem to view football players, basketball players, actors, celebrities, etc., as borderline gods. Sure, some of them are incredible at what they do, and there's no way I could keep up with them on the field or whatever. But that's also true of the surgeon that saved my life at the hospital, or the teacher that can manage a class of 36-year-olds, or the delivery driver that's expected to make multiple deliveries in a 1-minute stop. I just struggle to understand the huge gap in viewing them as so much more worth our time and admiration. Media always reports on what celebrities and athletes think about various topics, but who gives a fuck? They aren't experts in that field. What they think does not matter any more than what I think. Let's hear from someone who actually has a qualified and relevant opinion. I was just trying to describe this the other day to someone who is very interested in celebrities and loves telling stories about meeting them. I just don't see them as being better than anyone else. I have a lot more admiration for people who have done good things or have extensive knowledge in their particular field of work. I understand a lot more goes into acting, and I by no means think I could or would want to do it, but putting the Kardashians over a neurosurgeon does not make sense to me. The Kardashians are an odd one because they aren't really talented at anything in particular. Some actors are just pretty faces who aren't really very good at their craft either. But I can respect a truly talented actor. Kardashians though? What's to respect? If I met one at a party who wasn't famous, I'd make my excuses and leave. Same. I get thinking they are really cool and can be inspirational if they do something you wish you could do professionally, but I have never understood the desire to bother famous people in public. They are just people, not gods. There are maybe 5 celebrities in this world that if I ran into them I would say, "Love what you do, have a good day," but that's about it. One word, entertainment. It's because people think rich and famous equals important person. The idea that someone might be very important, but not rich or famous is a weird concept for some people. I was in a hotel when a guest had a heart attack. Just happened to be a cardiac surgeon with his wife. Another surgeon, booking in for a conference. They saved his life. Unfortunately, no football players or actors or celebrities were available to help. The fact actors and celebrities also think they are important and can give opinions on stuff they have absolutely no idea about also adds to the problem. Really important people often get ignored unless they are needed. Same goes for Coast Guard, mountain rescue, paramedics, doctors, teachers, military, nurses, etc. Lawyers. Source, AM lawyer. Also a licensed attorney. Some of the nicest people I've met are attorneys, but the bad ones are just
so
freaking bad. Doctor here, same for us. The bad ones make all of us look bad. Also a lawyer. Surprised I had to scroll this far. Still, it is the first actually respected profession on this list. I get what you're saying. My sister-in-law is a public defender and I respect the hell out of that because that sounds like an insanely draining job. And I respect the fact that while she could have gone into private law and made a lot more money, but she decided to use her law degree to help the underprivileged even though they could definitely use the money. Yes, and no. I look at the law they practice, the firm they work at, and their motivations for practice. And then I usually come to the conclusion that they are either saints, everyday people doing their thing, or terrible parasites. Politicians and heads of government. No matter the party, they're all held in way too high of a regard. Particularly elected officials. They're just people hired by their neighbors, primarily because they have AD or are next to their name, to do a job that they'll probably suck at, but we're supposed to kiss their asses? It's almost like the desire to be a politician should disqualify someone from the job. And naming public works after politicians bothers me. They didn't pay for it, it was the taxes of working people. I want Frank the plumber park and Evelyn the waitress elementary. An elementary school in Missouri went that route, naming the school after the custodian. Real estate agents, they creep me out. I was gonna work at Keller Williams and the older ladies were trying to entice me to work there by showing me pictures of their daughters in bikinis, telling me she'll be working here too. That shit creeped me the fuck out. Real estate feels like the wedding industry to me, where BC the barrier to entry isn't very high. You get an extremely mixed bag of individuals. Some are great, some are terrible, some are super weird. The ones that do very well for themselves are usually highly skilled and personable. We had a wedding planner help with one kid's wedding, it was flawless. The other one we didn't. Complete shit show. A good wedding planner is a must-have, but the trick is finding a good one.
Yeah.
We used a planner and it cost like 3% of our total wedding budget. And she made it so damn easy to not only plan the wedding but also enjoy it without worry when the day arrived. I once went to view a room in a house share and I immediately got the impression that the estate agent was coming on to me. He just had these super creepy eyes and a blank stare. He never took his eyes off me the whole time. When we got into the room, which was a mess, the agent stood between me and the doorway just staring at me the whole time. It only takes, like, 30 seconds to look at a single room, but I was stuck in that room for almost 5 minutes making awkward small talk until I explicitly told him to get out of the way because I was leaving. A week later I got a super like from him on Tinder. I tell everyone that ever mentions his company. I found out later he owned the agency, that he did that to me and not to go view a house with him. Ew. I bought my first house in 1993. The same agent helped me find a new house after my husband passed away in 2020. He was / is the kindest person you could meet. His wife was my youngest 5th grade teacher. I was really lucky. He treated me like his daughter, especially buying my second house. Some of them are just plain awful, beyond measure. I think a lot of them don't know you can fire them and get a new one easily for the same property. I fired 3 before landing on my last dude. He was awesome. He seemed legit chill, didn't mind letting us nitpick and found us something in our price range that was one of those ones you walk in and say, how is this in the same price bracket as all that other stuff? He also understood the importance of the first impression. He sent me to a home once and I walked in and walked out and then he arrived and I told him I didn't even want to go back in and he said, cool. Next property then. Listened to everything I said and wanted and I'm quite happy with the experience. The others were pushy and condescending while also constantly just being flat out wrong. One had a PhD and thought she was
so
smart. She now works as a receptionist for a chiropractor. Makes sense given she couldn't back it in her field of study or as a realtor. Now she hangs out in a quack's office and they smell each other's farts and praise one another. Are realtors really respected? I feel like most people see them as a convenience that may or may not be worth their expense. That said, I've worked with 3 realtors and they've all been fantastic. One of them found me a house off market for way below market price after months of being outbid. Marketing. Doing studies on where people's eyes move to in the grocery store, or on how kids hold the shampoo bottle. Paying a celebrity to smile holding your cell phone. Filling people's mailboxes with junk. Selling a story about how a car can change your life. Fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. From a creative standpoint, I've worked with marketers and without a doubt they think they're the most original and creative people anywhere, while they are actually far from it. They just usually see something and say, let's just do that. This is why I gravitated towards UX in my career. I want to creatively solve problems, but only if we're actually solving problems and meeting people where they are. Half my job is helping us figure out why we shouldn't do a thing. We are really reaching saturation point. I feel. People are sick of constantly being sold stuff. It's so brutal. It is really getting to be way too much. It's impossible to get away from. I'm tired of being manipulated and coerced into spending money I don't need to spend. Honestly, I feel like most marketing and merchandising is ineffective on me because I'm so aware of how dishonest it all is. It drives me nuts that oversized, wasteful packaging constantly evolves to convince us that we're getting more when we're getting less. I hate that we are sold useless expensive things that could be replaced by something cheap. I hate that people derive their self-esteem from what they wear and what they drive. Going into debt, proudly wearing logos and providing free advertising to companies that overcharge for something to begin with.
ugh.
I went to a coffee shop a few months ago, and attached to it was a sales office for a new condo building. The brand they had gone for was Norwegian luxury. Whatever that's supposed to mean, I'm in Canada. And my first response was to sigh and say, I am so exhausted from everything being sold to me. The consumerism part is what's fueling it, though. As long as it exists, the rest of us have to put up with it. And for some stuff, fine, they're making good quality products that are genuinely worth the higher than average price. Although whether the average price should be as high as it is another debate. But what gets me is people wearing fake branded items. It's just disposal garbage to make yourself look cool, but you're not even getting the high quality that, sometimes, comes with higher end goods. It's just so bizarre to me, and I'm so tired of being exposed to it. I used to work in marketing. 100% agree. Nothing drains you more at the end of the day than going to sleep knowing you're part of the problem. My dad worked in marketing. I would sometimes help him prepare anonymous surveys that were being mailed to solicit feedback on certain local programs they had participated in. This was in the 90s, before the internet. My job was to stamp them with invisible ink numbers so we could log who responded and what they said. So dirty. I used to be the marketing director for a moderately sized, local nonprofit. I believed in the mission of the organization 100%, and I still found the work to be repulsive. Nothing drains you more at the end of the day than going to sleep knowing you're part of the problem. As an AI engineer, this hit me hard right now. Got disillusioned my last year of my marketing degree. I just liked surveys and knowing how to get quality data from them. Being able to turn that data into useful information. Now I'm saving to go to nursing school. Posting billboards along beautiful roads. Showing you ads on your refrigerator. Playing ads at gas stations. Tracking your online activity and selling your info. Playing ads at a higher volume than the show. Contributing to pollution by sending out literal tons of junk mail to people who will throw it away without even looking. I don't think it's so black and white. I worked in marketing and advertising for quite a while, and although I agree with you to a certain extent, just saying marketing is far too broad. Marketing is a necessary part of advertising for a majority of businesses. But there are a lot of different types of marketing, as well as methods that are definitely ethically questionable. So many marketing schemes have become blatantly invasive, like on smart refrigerators. Even billboards. Isn't there a sci-fi movie from the future where ads can identify a person's face and target them specifically? But then there are different forms of media or online services who rely on money from advertisers to keep their businesses going. That's called bullseye marketing. Approximately 4 feet off the ground is where the average person first scans the shelves. Your brain also connects products on the end/end caps of aisles to be items of higher value and importance, so stores will stick their best margin items there. I did my whole university marketing thesis on grocery store tactics. We really do suck as people. I tell people all the time I literally got a university degree in manipulating people and getting people to do or choose what I want. I hardly look at the end caps. I'm almost programmed to put my cart in front of one while I browse the meat counter. I imagine marketing psychology must have shifted a ton with the advent of the internet. How to make products appealing in the grocery store probably is starting to lean more towards the correct color combinations and shape designs on your bag than it used to. 90% of C-suite level positions. An absolute minefield of psychopaths. Psychopathy isn't a requirement, but is definitely a strong plus. We incentivize it in these positions and then are confused how our economies reward unethical shitbaggery. Not just incentivize but require it of them. They are more likely to be sued by shareholders for not screwing enough people than they are to be sued by the people they screw. And for far more money, especially in the nonprofit sector. Those people are 100% taking advantage of the people below them who want to do good. It's sick. Chiropractors. Is that a respected profession though? Side story, the only people I've ever known in real life that insisted on being called a doctor were all chiropractors. And they somehow have a treatment opinion on literally every physical ailment known to mankind. Even actual physicians with MDs only wanted to be called that in a clinical setting. Unfortunately, they are respected by a lot of people. That's how they get their money and regularly have people come back. There will always be people defending it, talking about how their sister's husband's uncle was cured of something. I'm an employed physician and I see a specialist at the same hospital, so they are aware of who I am. Each time I go there, they say, "Hey, Dr. BCD," and I remind them, I'm here today as, insert name here, not Dr. BCD, as I'm in gym shorts and a crappy t-shirt. I'm only Dr. BCD in clinical settings. Life coach. Some girl I went to high school with became one after discovering oat milk and journaling. Listen, Tiffany, you peaked when you were prom queen. You are not qualified to help me navigate the smoldering wreckage of my life choices. Maybe we travel in different circles, but I can't remember the last time anybody talked about life coaches as anything but a punchline beyond clients who are punchlines themselves. If anything, they're a solid pick in the tournament of joke professions. Life coaches being a respected profession is a wild take. Yep. They are usually people who can't make it through a master's program to become a psychotherapist, so they get a weekend certificate for like 15 clock hours from some dumb life coaching scam and call themselves accordingly. It's a completely unregulated industrial complex with no standards, accreditation, ethical code, oversight, board, exams, licensure, etc. Nothing. Just a completely made-up Wild West of people who failed at other stuff. I have literally never heard a single person call life coach a respectable profession. Bureaucrats in my country, India. Bureaucrats in Germany, that is if they're respected at all. In all countries usually. Lobbyists. They work to influence elected officials who should be paying attention to their constituents. CEOs, corporate directors, etc. Pharmaceutical sales. I have 2 family members who do that. One was trained as an art teacher, another as some kind of sewage planner. Neither could even spell Tylenol, but they looked the part of educated, attractive people. After a very brief introductory session there, they were giving continuing education to doctors while making tons of cash in the process.
Yeah.
They basically get a bit of material they have to learn, like the FDA-approved label with some more attractive material highlighting the info from the label. Then any questions they don't know from all that, they can just pull it up. Usually preloaded on a tablet nowadays. Anything outside that, they have to kick over to someone from a separate smaller team who actually have medical degrees and are firewalled from any kind of sales/marketing. The actual medical knowledge needed is very limited. You mostly are required to be able to remember some key information. Everything else is just people skills, which is kind of depressing. Not sure I'd call it a particularly respected profession, though. Kind if like any other sales job. People in this thread seem to have no idea what a respectable profession is. Case in point right here. This is a respectable profession? Since when? Chiropractors. But that really isn't a respected profession from the get-go. It is respected way more than it deserves as a quack pseudo-medicine that hurts people. ITT people just naming conventionally non-respected professions. DAE hate HR reps? I would say that I respect most professions, but not everyone that works in that profession. We've reached a place where we talk about nurses and school teachers. For example, like they're all angels and working for free. There are fantastic teachers, or nurses, mediocre ones, and really lousy ones, like in every profession. Likewise, I have had great doctors, lawyers, barbers, etc. I've also met mediocre and lousy ones. Career politicians, police officers. While there are certainly respectable officers, it feels like the culture of hero worship has led to a sense of entitlement, self-importance, and for some graft. We need to demilitarize the police and get back to protect and serve. Influencer content creators, pro athletes, most celebrities, people in marketing. Never met a good one, and I always put them at the top of my redundancy lists. Also recruiters, have met maybe 1 or 2 good ones, but the rest are utter shite. This is a easy one. HR, human resources. I dunno. I worked for a very small company, and when the company got big enough, we got our first HR person. She immediately started telling our boss what he needed to change around the company. Fun times. People say HR is there to protect the company, but protecting the company often means protecting your rights. Letting Sally take her FMLA is cheaper than a lawsuit and bad publicity. Journalism. Not anymore, anyway. Was looking for this one. 0.001% are working on groundbreaking news and holding the powerful to account. The rest is an even split between propping up oligarchy and criminals, and the other is manufacturing culture war or celebrity slop. Lots of journalists are stolen profile photos, made up names, and ChatGPT garbage. Torque News comes to mind. 0 of those are humans, and 100% of the photos and articles are all fake. They never cite sources and contradict themselves constantly. Those are more and more common these days. They don't want you to read, they want to distract you with a targeted ad after clickbaiting you so they get paid for the referral. Tech bro. Hey, man. That's cool that they pay you like $300,000 per year to optimize a payment app to ensure 0.64% more sales conversions or whatever. I'm sure whatever programming you do is super complicated and a fun math challenge. I just find that a lot of what the actual output is these days to be trivial, if not outright harmful. Lord, please give me the confidence to say something I don't understand at all is trivial. Former tech bro, this is kind of a slim view as everything is digital these days. The stereotypes bubble to the top, but a lot of tech is boring and just making basic things work or work better. This exactly. My job is optimizing IT processes for other IT people, not developing social media apps. POTUS. Chiropractor. Real estate agents. Is that considered a respectable profession in the first place? Police officers. Insurance agents. Fucking never give up. Chiropractors. President of US. Self-help gurus and especially Tony Robbins. I always see people make comments about fake self-help gurus, but they always seem to treat Tony Robbins like a legitimate one. His Platinum Club is why I watched my startup's bank account go from over $1 million in the bank to less than enough to cover my paycheck in matter of a few months. I call it a mine because I ran about 1/3 of the whole company, but it wasn't owned by me. The Platinum Club membership is $75,000 a year. He got scammed multiple times, refused to believe that he was being scammed because of how the club is a pseudo-religion, and kept giving money to people he thought had good intentions because they were plats. The Platinum Club also dangles Tony in front of its members like they're dangling a hot dog on a fishing pole in front of dogs. My boss would go on and on about, "Hey, I'm leaving for 2 weeks and I think we're going to actually meet Tony this time." And I honestly don't think he's been face to face with Tony in the 8 years since this all started. It turns out, when you charge people $3,000 to $5,000 for an event that doesn't do much other than say, someone cares about you, you tend to attract a lot of scummy snake oil salesmen. On top of that, the event I went to was very much like being poor on the Titanic. The seats my boss got for me were nosebleed seats, $3,000 for them too, and so I wound up in this midsection. Behind the midsection was the concession stands and all. The second day, they had put up big curtains that blocked any view from the concession stands. If you didn't pay a bunch of money to be here, then fuck you. You don't get to see things from rich people's seats. On top of that, I was made to explain very personal issues to complete strangers who were way too into it, and it just wasn't a good experience. It's just a how to make $1 million a class with extra steps. And my thoughts were confirmed. There was nothing of value at this event. The nosebleed sections were almost empty on day 2. When they were overfilled on day 1, there were signs everywhere saying, "Find out how to get a picture with Tony," and it turns out, the first 50 people to donate $10,000 would get their picture taken with Tony. It's just expensive church that worships the guy from Shallow Hell. It's a guy getting paid to act like a toddler and yell in people's faces while saying you are loved by someone. It's a grift, and always will be a grift. Church is free, and as a non-Christian, I can say there's much more value to get from spending $0 to attend church than there is spending $3,000-5,000 on a Tony Robbins event. Church is at least honest about being a religion. There is no profession that will automatically evoke my disrespect because there are always some good people doing their best to act right in every profession. What I do not respect is anyone who demands my respect based on anything other than their day-to-day actions. The list of other things some people expect the world to be wowed by is long, e.g., their profession or position, their money or good fortune, their degree or alma mater, their religion or philosophy, their family or heritage, their past or present military service, etc. In fact, wearing any of these on your sleeve generally reads as a red flag to me. Clergy, honestly, and I know I am going to get shit for it, nurses. I'm not saying that being a nurse is easy or anything, but I grew up surrounded by the medical field. I have seen doctors and nurses of all types.
Yeah.
Nurses deserve better pay and working conditions, but a lot of nurses are shitty human beings. Being a nurse doesn't make you a good person. For what it's worth, I have met multiple nurses who are anti-vaxxers. I also worked with one in a temp job who was telling people that a chiropractor was the best person to see for the flu. I take any medical advice from a nurse with a grain of salt. Youth pastors, missionaries, cops, lifestyle gurus and influencers by far. Anything related to the health insurance field. Anything at all. It is an entire industry that simply does not have to exist in any capacity. I don't think anyone respects that, though. University Vice Chancellor. It's a role that attracts grifters, not competent academics. Mortgage brokers. The knowledge and abilities they need for their profession are pretty basic, and plenty of them are too lazy or thick to actually read things properly. Yet the majority have such pompous attitudes to actually doing the job they're paid to do. Professional athletes. Police and HR. Arrogant and stupid police officers. Clergy. Lawyer. Politician. CEO. Celebrities of all stripes. Judges. Cars salesmen. Police officers. Lawyers. I've worked for them for years. Majority of them think they're God, that nothing can touch them. Heaven forbid they get a speeding ticket, which they deserved, as they'll fight tooth and nail to not pay it. None. I don't respect a profession. I respect hoes who earn it. Could use this edit to fix the spelling mistake, but I much prefer to keep it. I respect hoes, has a nice ring to it. Clergy. All religious figures are frauds. Police. Nurses are a real crapshoot between living saints, normal people with diligent studying habits, and deranged BPD bunny boilers who had to be coerced into getting their COVID shot like pet at the veterinarian. I've known enough of the last category to not want to rely on them for anything. This is one of the main reasons why I'm going to call it quits before nursing home age. Landlords. Like, I get it. People need a place to live and they provide those places. At the same time, they aren't fair to people. Used to be a leasing/prop manager. Never. Again. Chiropractors. Most of the comments here are naming professions which aren't really that well respected at all. So my hot take is surgeons. Surgeons do great work, sure, but they also get paid ridiculously good money. Nothing wrong with that at all, but not exactly selfless. Nurses and teachers deserve more credit for doing equally great work, but for much less money. Finance departments. Everyone seems to believe they are full of genius, and yet routinely they fuck up payroll, budgets, and never seem to be around when you actually want to talk to them. These days, I'd say the Supreme Court is an institution that used to hold a lot of respect, but today they seem like pawns, and that's not just because of personal political beliefs, but because of the manipulation of the law, secrecy, and double standards. It shouldn't matter what side of the political spectrum you belong to. Right is right and wrong is wrong, and to use that office to push your personal or religious beliefs on an entire nation is plain wrong, especially if you have to bend the laws to fit your narrative. How can anyone just wait and see when the other side starts using those same justification to achieve their own ends? How will they rationalize opposing using those same tools? How will they have a leg to stand on when that happens? With this administration, the presidency, nurses. I deal with a lot of wonderful ones through work, but an equal amount of terrible ones. Many are just my childhood bullies in adult bodies, and should be nowhere near a people-facing profession. I'm not hating on the good ones, the competent ones with empathy. They 100% exist, but there really is an equal amount or more of shitty ones, in terms of competence and behavior. Can't believe I haven't seen car dealerships yet. Those creeps are unscrupulous. They are sneaky fucks that will knowingly drain you of every last dollar to make a sale and lie to your face with a smile. You haven't seen it cause nobody respected them in the first place. Nobody. And I mean nobody respects that profession. So why bring this up? Law enforcement and the military. Politicians. Law enforcement chodes. Politicians. They are hired by their voters and the people. We should hold them accountable rather than treat them like our masters. They are supposed to do exactly what we tell them to do. Or go fuck themselves. Did you misread the question? Who respects politicians? Bankers. Childcare workers have more important work. Chiropractors. I do not respect anyone working in finance or in any job that's main goal is to interact with the stock market or passively build wealth by means of already having wealth. A view reflective of Karl Marx's labor theory of value. Don't let the source divert you. It's a good theory. Assistant to the regional manager. I had a college professor. He was a dude who had to be called doctor. We had a lady in our class, early 80s, looking to get a college degree before, well, you know. Anyways, she went up to Dr. Douchebag. While he was writing something on the whiteboard, she said, "Mr. Douchebag," and began to ask her question. Before this kind lady could finish her question, he replies as doctor, without taking his eyes off the board to correct her. Listen, you earned your PhD. Good for you. But have some fucking respect for this kind lady taking your course too. So I guess any fuck face who earned a PhD in anything that has to be called doctor. Unless you're in the medical field. Chill out. I had a professor in college that signed his name, first middle last, Harvard PhD. Every time. Most sales. ICE stormtroopers. Where's the respect for them? They don't even respect themselves. Academia. Not to say I don't respect it, but a lot of people, academics especially, seem to view it as some kind of altruistic virtuous profession compared to a higher paying corporate job, and I think that's just misguided. Obviously not the case for everyone, but in my experience I think a lot of career academics lack the people skills to thrive in a more open-ended professional environment and get on a high horse looking down on more profit-driven pursuits to compensate. Management in an American health insurance agency. I'm not sure if they're actually respected outside of their own bubble, but I think realtors are a joke. Journalism these days. Cops. So-called journalism. Startup CEOs. Architects. Self-important twats. Chiropractors. President. Advertising. Truly a genital ward on society. Baby sleep consultants. real estate agents, politicians, CEOs of multi-billion companies, finance and crypto brokers, military, if your country have nukes already, Wall Street trader. The stock market nowadays is a glorified casino, feeding off of people's delusion of wealth, while draining money out of the real economy. Insurance company workers, like the ones who decide what medications get covered, CEOs and such. Real estate agents, real estate agents. I've sold 4 houses myself now, you don't need them and they are taking thousands of dollars for doing paperwork that's readily available for you. All you need is Zillow and some brain power. My dickhead boss Steve. Every job is respectable, but I just have a gripe against bailiffs who take pleasure in their job. I get being happy to be able to help someone, but to evict them, damn. Legal professionals for corporations. They're mostly there to have the corporations find ways to do morally corrupt things while avoiding the law. Police. They really let my family down when we were being terrorized by our neighbors. One night he smashed our front door in and continued to abuse us while our floor was covered in glass. The police turned up and told us he didn't mean to and he's really sorry. They continued to abuse us for months after. Then we moved. Chiropractors, celebrities, overpaid, and worshipped by idiots. Judges and justices are just lawyers with political connections. Teachers who go by Dr. BC of a PhD in education. Chiropractor. I don't respect pastors or priests or bishops or ministers or popes. Actors. The media in general. You're a tool of the rich and always were. Stop spreading bullshit. Stockbrokers/traders/Bitcoin investors etc. Just making money off money. Providing zero service or entertainment or value. Police. Convinced most people who became cops did it to have power over other people. Doctors and nurses are the real heroes. They literally only work to help people live better. And they get so much BS for it because they make money. Like any other career doesn't. I don't respect professions. I respect people. Nutritionists, if you're not a registered dietitian then.
Bye.
Most medical doctors in the US. I used to respect them until I got close with one of my best friend's ex-partner who was in med school at the time and all his med school friends. You should hear how they talk about patients. I hate to break it to you, but plenty of patients full on fucking cunts or just straight up annoying and tiring to work with. I wouldn't be surprised if most practitioners talk shit about their patients in private. I mean, TBF, most patients are a pain in the ass. Project management. A good project manager is amazing. A lot of them are worthless. My level of respect for project managers vary. I absolutely respected my previous project manager because of his trust in the team and his ability to respect the team's time. Unfortunately, he retired and his replacement isn't great. The new one is one of those people who would not end a meeting early if the discussion is finished, but would waste people's time with small talk and telling everyone how his day was going, unprompted. Just asking why don't you like us? Cops, chiropractors, and holistic doctors. Influencers. I'm sorry, your job is having good lighting and pointing rhythmically at text that isn't actually there. Like a wee tutorial for how to be sad, but with a ring light. How is influencer respected profession? I'd imagine that's one of the least respected. AI people, let's make the world a worse place. Chiropractors. Cops. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an ACAB person by any means, but cops really need to start earning their respect back.